Welcome to Top 10 Universe. Let's dive into the chilling tale of a Zodiac killer, a notorious figure among the serial killers. This cunning individual chose to adopt the name Zodiac and cleverly taunted the Bay Area press by sending them enigmatic letters. Within these messages, the killer included a cryptic ciphers, challenging anyone who dared to decipher their hidden meaning. Astonishingly, out of the four ciphers he dispatched, only one was definitely solved. Operating in California during the late 1960s and early 1970s, the Zodiac Killer struck fear into the hearts of the community. In one of his unsettling letters, he boldly proclaimed, "Me 37 and SFPD -0." According to his claims, he had taken the lives of 37 victims. But the newspaper at that time could only confirm the deaths of 7 individuals. Despite the passage of time, the case of the Zodiac Killer remains an enigma that continues to haunt investigators. The file remains open, awaiting the day when further clues or breakthroughs may shed light on this dark chapter in criminal history. Let me tell you about Donald Henry Gaskins, a notorious criminal known as Hitchhiker's Killer. This individual has made chilling claims of having taken the lives of approximately 80 to 90 people through acts of torture and mutilation. His killing spree began in 1969 when he started picking up hitchhikers along the coastal highway of the American South. One fateful day, Gaskins was observed by a fellow criminal associate as he brutally murdered 2 young men. Filled with guilt and the need of justice, the associate decided to confess this heinous act to the authorities. As a result, Gaskins faced a death sentence for his crimes. However, fate had other plans for him. The sentence of death was eventually commuted to the life imprisonment without the possibility of a parole. Even behind bars, Gaskins couldn't suppress his violent tendencies. He added another murder to his already horrifying list of crimes, making him the sole individual that have ever killed a fellow inmate who also was in a death row. Donald Henry Gaskins' story is a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk within the human soul. His actions left a trail of devastation and terror, forever staining the lives of those he victimized and the communities he haunted. Tsutomu Miyazaki, the human Dracula. Tsutomu Miyazaki gained notoriety as one of the most infamous serial killers in history. His heinous acts earned him several chilling monikers, such as Otaku Murderer, the Little Girl Murderer, and even Dracula Miyazaki. The atrocities he committed were truly horrifying. He would abduct young girls, end their lives, and engage in unspeakable acts with their lifeless bodies. In one particular disturbing instance, he went so far as to drink the blood of the victim and consume her hand. As if his actions weren't depraved enough, he also took pleasure in preserving body parts as macabre trophies, and would taunt the families of the victims by sending them chilling postcards detailing his gruesome deeds. The tragic circumstances surrounding Tsutomu Miyazaki's life only add to the grim narrative. His father, burdened with the weight of his son's monstrous action, ultimately took his own life. Miyazaki's reign of terror came to an end in 2008 when he was apprehended and later sentenced to death by hanging. He met his demise at the age of 45, leaving behind a legacy of horror and unimaginable sorrow. Alright, so let's talk about Ted Bundy, a notorious figure in American criminal history. Bundy was not your average lawbreaker. He was a serial killer, a kidnapper, rapist, and even a necrophile. Operating across different states in the USA, he confessed to taking the lives of 30 women. His actions were truly chilling and disturbed the nation. So what made Bundy particularly heinous was his gruesome fascination with corpses. He would return to the scene of his crimes and engage in disturbing sexual acts with the lifeless bodies. It's horrifying to think about the depths of depravity that he sank to. To add another layer of horror, Bundy decapitated at least 12 of his victims, and he shockingly kept their severed heads as grim trophies in his apartment. This macabre behavior is truly disturbing and showcases the darkness that consumed him. Bundy's reign of terror eventually came to an end. At the age of 42 in 1989, he met his fate on the electric chair. Even his own defense attorney couldn't deny the depth of Bundy's evil. In fact, he described him as the epitome of heartless wickedness. Such a description underscores the immense impact Bundy had on both his victims and the society as a whole. It's important to remember the victims of Bundy's heinous crime and honor their memories. Their lives were tragically cut short by a man who embraced the darkest aspects of human nature. May their souls rest in peace, and may we strive to prevent such atrocities from happening in future. Next on the list, Jack the Ripper, also known as the Whitechapel Murderer, that notorious figure from the late 1800s who sent chills down the spines of the people in London. It's fascinating yet chilling tale to delve into. You see, Jack the Ripper was an unidentified killer who terrorized the Whitechapel district of London in 1888. His crimes were particularly gruesome, targeting prostitutes and mutilating their bodies in a grotesque manner. The case remains unsolved to this day, shrouded in mystery and speculation. The Ripper's reign of terror sparked a media frenzy and a frantic search for the culprit. People were on the edge, fearing of their lives, while investigators struggled to uncover any solid leads. Countless theories and suspects emerged over the years, but none definite enough to crack the case wide open. Jack the Ripper's story continues to captivate and haunt us, remind us of the dark side of humanity and the enduring mysteries that continues to remain unsolved. Now let's explore Luis Garavito, also known as the Beast. This guy is a notorious Colombian serial killer who gained infamy for his heinous crimes. Garavito's story is chilling to say at least. Garavito targeted young boys, mostly impoverished and vulnerable, luring them with promises of money, food, or gifts. Once he gained their trust, he would take them to remote areas, where he subjected them to unimaginable horrors. His methods of torture and murder were beyond comprehension. His reign of terror lasted for years, with estimates suggesting he may have killed hundreds of victims. It's truly horrifying thought. Eventually, Garavito was captured and convicted of numerous counts of murders and sexual assault. The case of Luis Garavito serves as a stark reminder of the evil that can exist in our world. It highlights the importance of protecting the vulnerable and working tirelessly to bring justice to those affected by such monstrous acts. Have you heard of Amateraji? They used to call him the Sorcerer. He was quite a fascinating and chilling character, let me tell you. Amateraji was a notorious serial killer from Indonesia who believed that by murdering 70 young women and burying them in a sugarcane field, he would gain supernatural powers. He claimed to have received instructions from his father's ghost in his dream, telling him to commit these heinous acts. Surajji would lure his victims to the field, where he would strangle them with a cable until they died. He would then bury them in a specific ritualistic manner, hoping to harness their energy. Surajji's twisted belief and his macabre actions shocked the nation and sent down shivers to the spines of people around the world. Eventually, Surajji's reign of terror came to an end when he was sentenced and arrested in 1997. He was convicted of multiple murders and sentenced to death. Ahmad Surajji, the self-proclaimed sorcerer, left a dark and haunting legacy that serves as a reminder of depths of human depravity. I'm sure you might not have heard about Alexander Pikhoskin. He was also known as a chessboard killer. This guy was quite a notorious serial killer from Russia. His crimes were absolutely chilling. Pikhoskin had this twisted obsession with the number 64, which is the same number of squares on a chessboard. His goal was to murder 64 people, one for each square on the board. He lured his victims, mostly elderly men, to the park in Moscow, where he would befriend them and gain their trust. But then he would strike. Pikhoskin would intoxicate his victims and bludgeon them to death with a hammer. It's horrifying to think about the level of brutality he displayed. The chessboard killer was eventually caught in 2006 and convicted of 48 murders. Though he claims to have committed more, he received a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Disturbing to delve into the mind of someone like Pikhoskin, but it serves as a reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the human psyche. Eileen Wuornos, often referred as the Monster, was a notorious figure in criminal history. Born in 1956, she led a troubled life marred by abuse and hardship. Her story is a tragic one, revealing the devastating consequences of a broken upbringing. Wuornos became a serial killer targeting men who she claimed had assaulted or threatened her. Between 1989 and 1990, she murdered 7 men in Florida, leading to her eventual capture and conviction. Wuornos' case garnered significant media attention, shining a spotlight on her disturbing actions and twisted psyche behind them. Her troubled past and circumstances she faced raised important questions about the impact of trauma on individual and the role it plays in shaping their behavior. The case also ignited debates about mental illness and the death penalty. Eileen Wuornos' story serves as a chilling reminder of the dark complexities of the human mind and the tragic consequences that can arise from a life filled with pain and desperation. Dennis Rader, also known as the BTK murderer. Rader was an infamous American serial killer who terrorized Wichita, Kansas from 1970s to 1990s. The acronym BTK stands for Bind, Torture, Kill, which described his gruesome modus operandi. Rader's reign of terror came to an end in 2005 when he was finally arrested and convicted for his crimes. He had managed to evade capture for decades, leading a seemingly normal life as a family man and even working as a compliance officer. During his killing spree, Rader taunted law enforcement and the media by sending them letters, including detailed accounts of his crimes and personal possessions belonging to the victims. These letters played a crucial role in his eventual capture. Of Dennis Rader is a chilling reminder of the depths of human depravity and long-lasting impact it can have on communities. Thankfully, justice and eventually served, but the Scars left behind by his heinous acts will never be forgotten. Thank you for being here today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with others, and hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world to us as it helps our channel to grow. Thanks for being a part of our community. See you in the next video.